Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast, which is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. They're getting ready for Father's Day, and this is a great Father's Day gift idea. And we've got a great way for you to save buying Omaha Steaks for Father's Day at the end of this podcast. Jodi asked a great question, and Sam told a cool story today about your oldest son, Sammy, using AI to help with his Little League team.
Yeah, he's the coach of a 6 and under team, and he was using it to determine the optimum batting order to get the most runs.
Which is really cool. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have thought of that because I don't do a little league team, but it's a really cool idea. And Jodi asked the question, okay, well, I don't really know what I should be using AI for.
I don't. That's what I feel dumb about. I know it's everywhere. I believe that it's cool. I know we're having to teach it how to help us. Yeah. But
I don't think that that's dumb. I think it's a lot of, I mean, I think you still have a lot of people trying to sit between what do I Google and what do I use AI for?
And what do I trust it for?
Right. And I think those are a couple of things. So to answer that question, since I'm sort of an AI freak right now, I'll try to help you out with that.
Now, are these really your suggestions, or are they from AI?
Yeah, these are actually mine.
Are you basing this on what you would tell anybody, or you knowing me the way you do?
I think this is for anybody. I would say this is universal, and it's really just become because of my own, fact finding to see, okay, how should I use AI? What are the limits, and what is the reality? So I'll tell you where I've landed with it. For me, AI is a great idea generator. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for answers from AI. I'm looking for ideas. Now, it's giving you answers, but you have to decide, unfortunately, whether those answers are legitimate or not.
Okay.
And so I mean, I would say you would use AI for anything that you have a question about. If a question enters your mind, I mean, AI is an option to plug it in.
It's almost like Google on steroids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, what I wouldn't do is you don't want to put sensitive information into it. What do you think of my Social Security number?
Well, actually, if it asks for your Social Security number,
you got to be careful.
No.
Right.
How should I consolidate these credit cards?
Right. But the reason I say it's ideas because it is in all of them. It doesn't matter whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or Copilot or Gemini, and I guess there are others out there too. All of them have the possibility of making mistakes. So it's really important that you understand that when you ask it a question and not take it as gospel.
Great.
I would equate that to sort of like
a gossip.
But yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't know that it's quite over the top gossip. It depends on what source it's using.
Sure.
Now, ChatGPT and Grok and Copilot all cite their sources, I'm pretty sure. When you get your answer, you'll see a little tag of if this is where it came from a URL or whatever. And then you have to decide, okay, is that a source that I really trust or not? But it's almost like if you take the answers as absolute fact, you would probably put yourself in the same situation as when you're Googling medical advice.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you start thinking the worst and you've not even gone to the doctor yet. You know what I'm saying?
And everything you're dealing with matches what you read.
Right, exactly. And because it is not going to be an answer-all, cure-all. And I'm sure as time goes by and it gets more sophisticated that it will be better at that. But right now it's really, it can be accurate, but it is definitely not always accurate. And it definitely is only going to interpret your question the way you ask it.
That's why I have to start playing in it because I want to understand it until I'm doing it. I want to get specific. Are you using it?
I've used it on a few occasions.
Can you share?
Yeah, I haven't used it for facts like Murphy has or, precise stuff. I have used it creatively to help me when I can't think, to write. When I can't think out of a hole or I can't, it's just not coming to me.
Okay.
That's like, hey, this is what I want to do. What's a great way to start this? Or give me 10 examples of how you would do this.
And
then it gives it to you, and it's like, no. Okay, I can take a couple words from that, or I like this idea, but then I got to put it in Sam speak, or I have to do it the way I do it, take its example and make it mine.
What's the most impressive thing you've seen it do, Murphy? I know you used it recently to help you organize your thoughts or your schedule. Murphy manages a lot of things every day. He gets like 500 emails a day, and he wants to answer them all.
Yeah. So the most impressive things that it's done are kind of extreme. One of them is really geeky and tech. So our regular podcast that we do every day, which is all the show segments that we do put together so that you can catch up on anything you missed, part 1 and part 2. AI is now putting that together. Now, it's us producing it, obviously. It's from the show, right? But instead of us having to go into a physical editor and cut it all into pieces and put it together, and that becomes almost an hour's project to do that every day, that capability exists for it to know intelligently to go grab our show content and put it together into a podcast, and it's getting
that's impressive.
That's impressive.
Before it got to that point, though, you actually had to spend a lot of time with it.
I did.
To refine it. Like, I want you to do this. And okay, not like that, but do this. Okay,
right.
Well, here's what you said, but I really want you to do this, until you got it to the point where you could tell the other AI, put the show together.
Right, exactly, yeah. Well, I had to, the AI first had to teach me what I was doing when I asked how I could accomplish it, and then it had to teach me how to do what they call Python code. And I'm not a coder, okay? I mean, I'm just, so it was a stretch of my limit. So it was almost like having a teacher sit there and saying, okay, well, try this, let's do that. But the trick bag on something like that is because it doesn't understand context. You have to remember it's not a person. It's really easy
to give it context.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of get sucked in and take what it's saying as gospel once you get into a conversation with it. But you've got to remember, it's really not very good at looking at your entire conversation. It hallucinates. Y'all have heard me talk about that before. That's the term that they use. It hallucinates and starts to get micro-focused only on the last things that you've asked, and it will start to really take you down paths you don't want to go down. The other one I'll answer for you in just a second,
okay.
Jodi. Really, it's the practical life experience thing that was the changer for me. But go ahead.
Wait, practical life experience. I want to know that.
The way that I organize, and it's the thing. It's the thing we were talking about in the show where I said you were smarter than ChatGPT.
Well, just because I know you. I know you better than ChatGPT.
I know. Well, it gave a very similar suggestion. So here's what I'm explaining. When you start to use like whatever organizational systems you use, and if you've used them for years and years and years, when things work for you, you will continue to do things the same way, right? That's human nature, is what we do. It's actually the way that the brain is wired. The brain doesn't want to have to learn something brand new every single day. It wants to do it the way that's always worked.
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it. The trick is you don't realize that some things are broke. The longer that you do it, the more that you do it, you begin to buy in that what you're doing is the perfect way of doing things. Meanwhile, the world is changing around,
yeah.
Right?
God, good
point.
point.
And meanwhile, you're aging. And meanwhile, all of these things. And so the program that I've used, to be specific, is called Todoist. It's one of my organizational tools. It has been for a long time. It's simple. It's not as complex as some of the other things that businesses use, and it's got its own fair amount of AI in it. But the way that I've put things and categorized my life has been the same way for a very long time now. And so as I've tried to make it more efficient and tackle more tasks, it began to overwhelm me. And the reason it began to overwhelm me is because I was so focused on the system, and this is what I had to put into ChatGPT, but I really didn't have to because Jodi had the common sense to say. But sometimes it's you have to actually have to stop and say, okay, the way that I'm viewing this is what's wrong. It's my mental filter that is incorrect. Yes. And I don't mean to get so crazy philosophical, but anyway, so if you see something a certain way, that's how you're going to act. Whatever your mental filter is in front of your face, it's the way your brain's going to automatically.
Correct.
It's going to be how you pass judgment. It's going to be all of anything
it's
like
that. It's a filter that you see through.
And that filter can be really dangerous if it's the incorrect, filter.
Yes.
And so I was stressing out trying to figure out how to keep things organized when what I really had to do was stop and look at the system again and go, wait a second. Not everything should be on this list. Why am I keeping some of these things on this list in the first place? Either A, it's not important, or B, it's not going to accomplish what it is that I need done, or can somebody else, or should somebody else be doing all of those kinds of things. But I was lost in my system. What's crazy is I fed my system to ChatGPT, my entire to-do list and the structure with the categories and everything. That's what I fed to ChatGPT, and I fed it to Grok too for giggles, just to see would it give me the same thing. And it gave me back that it said, here's what you need to do. This is too complex. Before you even hit the system, this is what you need to be considering. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Jodi had told me. And that honestly kind of blew me away that it could use that.
The Jodi part?
No, not the Jodi part. Honestly, because Jodi has always been my entire life that we've known each other and been together for 25 years. Very good at simplifying the things that I get way too deep, into and providing a different perspective. So, the reason it blew me away is because I couldn't believe that the AI was able to look at that and say, whoa, wait a second.
That's pretty impressive.
You're looking at this wrong.
It seemed to reason.
Right, exactly. It didn't try to just fix and rearrange what my system is. It actually told me what parts of my system were broken and I needed to look at. Now, it also wasn't perfect. It misinterpreted a few things that I had to go, well, wait, no, this is important. I have to have this way because of, and then it would suggest alternate things to do. But it's an easy rabbit hole to go down if you're not careful. And but anyway, the reason that I say you still have to, as exciting as that gets, you do have to stop yourself and remember it's just generating ideas. It's probably going to be inaccurate with some of it, and you cannot take it as absolute, gospel.
I don't think anybody is doing that, but
well, I mean, I can see how people are. So, like the story that you did in 3 Things to Know about therapy and people using it as a therapist. We already know this from the past from just some of these AI-generated apps that people were in relationships with. Remember? They're companion apps?
Yeah.
And people really do become emotionally attached to. You really become it's very easy to get lost and take that as the gospel. I think even Googling is the same thing, right? I mean, it's like, let me find the answer, Google it. Yeah, right. And so I think, and because AI is interactive, and I don't know if either of you have used these, but you can actually put it in a verbal mode, talk to it, it'll talk back to you and back and forth and back and forth and back.
Can you pick the voice?
Yes, you can pick the voice. In Grok, you can actually tell it how you want it to talk to you. You don't be so verbose, too many words, or be brief, or be rude, or be rude. Whatever you want it to be. You can it'll take whatever tone you want. It can
Get up, Sam.
Hey, stupid.
You can tell it to be very relaxed and casual, and don't give me big words. Whatever you want to do, right? Yeah, and it'll talk talk back and forth to you. So I can see how somebody could easily kind of get pulled into an emotionally attached or whatever it is, because that conversation makes it feel like you're talking to a real person.
Realistic, yeah.
Right.
What I was going to say earlier was not a question, but it's just something I wanted to throw out here as a prediction. I'm hearing you say all this stuff, Murphy, about all the things that you've had, the way you've had to teach it when you were building the way the podcast gets put together. The amount of time and thought that you had to put into that, my prediction is that in the future, somebody's going to be telling you, yeah, well, I just plugged it in and, AI created it for me. And it's going to make you crazy because we're on the beginning end of this.
Yes,
We are teaching AI. You are. I'm not yet, but we're all teaching AI how to help us better. We're all teaching the robots how to be more human so that we can be more efficient as humans.
So they can take over.
But what I'm saying is there will be a time in the probably not so near future where what you spent, 3 or 4 nights? I didn't even see you. You were out in your office doing all of that. And I'm like, what happened to you last night? I'm working on this thing, trying to get this figured out. It took you a lot of time. My prediction is in the future, you're going to be telling somebody, I spent 3 nights on that.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and now I can do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah. And look,
it's going to happen.
I'm just one person's perspective, but isn't that really life?
Yes.
Period. I mean, when we were kids in the 80s, if we were studying for something and had to put together a paper, you either had to use an encyclopedia or you would have to go to the library.
Yeah.
And the time that it took to invest in that, and I don't want to go back to that time. I love the simplicity of a lot of things, of not having been bombarded by so many things digital, but the benefit of the tools to me outweigh the way that things used to be.
Yeah.
But, we've kind of been down that road. We stay on that road, really. Think about the things that you've done in the past that you didn't have the tools that you do now because of a phone. If you you wouldn't be able to fire off an email, in 10 seconds if there hadn't been the smartphone and that interconnectivity in the first place. You had to be at a computer.
You couldn't pick up your device and know where your kids are.
Right. And before that, if you were going to make business phone calls, you had to be at a desk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
when your pager went off while you were driving,
right.
you couldn't call anybody about it.
So I think that the AI is the same way. You're going to graduate up through things, and start, and it will get better. Grok's latest iteration, you can feed it data, and it'll do bar graphs and things, charts that you would need for work. Canvas has been out there for a while. Yeah. It does all the AI photos and generated. Although, I mean, it's really. You got to be careful with that too, is it because you can spot an AI photo these days,
you can.
And you can spot something that's been written by a AI also.
Yeah, you can. But those days may be short too, because they're going to perfect that to make it more realistic anyway.
I find it exciting. I know that it's scary to some people, and even our oldest daughter Taylor, who is 23, can't stand it. She doesn't like AI because of the amount of information and
the amount of energy.
She doesn't trust it. Oh, well, that's a big one too. You don't think about that until you read the articles. The amount of computing power that it takes. Yes,
it's draining our planet of energy.
Well, it's not just it's that. I mean that and not to go an environmental route one way or the other. Just the electric grid itself. If you're talking about capacity, electric companies will have to produce more electricity because
to keep it cool.
It does. Well, it needs more processor. I mean, it takes more computing power. It's probably all of those things, Jody.
But I had heard that they all have to be kept really, really cool too.
Well, computers have to stay cool, but you think about what's happening is you're sending questions that appear to be going into space or in your own computer, and that's not where it's going.
No.
It's another computer somewhere else that's processing that. And this is really complex stuff. These are language models. It's having to actually reason and communicate back to you. Yeah. And that's beyond my brain power to really understand that too. But I do know, yes, it requires a lot more
of energy.
electricity. So at some point, that's probably going to be something that has to be addressed. The more sophisticated it gets, the more energy it consumes. Is how outdated is our power grid that our power companies are going to have to kind of up their game so that it can support all of it. I don't know. And what happens during summer months where, air conditioning units are, I don't know.
Oh.
I didn't even intend to go there.
You want answers to those questions, always get them, right?
I should get them from AI. You're right.
I will tell you this, since I haven't done anything, I've never asked AI a question yet that I meant to. I mean, maybe I Googled something that was an AI assist. I have no idea. But I will do it soon, but I know it's going to end up being, it's not going to be about podcasts. It's not going to be about writing. It's going to be personal. I'm going to ask. My health is my hobby lately anyway.
Yeah.
My diet, my exercise, all of that. It'll be something like that, personal. What do you suggest for this? Or I'm waking up at 3:00 in the morning every night. Yeah. Or am I walking too often with a weighted vest?
Yeah.
Because those sort of things, that's a question I could ask Google, but I guess I'm already AIing that. If
Google is getting out of the Google business and going into Gemini for a reason, because Google's going to become that type of search engine is becoming old school. It doesn't matter what name you put on it, and that's why they moved to AI. They actually had to play catch up because ChatGPT was ahead of the game. ChatGPT, if you really would be called the original AI in terms of language models, and but so I would just summarize it for anybody trying it for brand new. If you don't trust it, well, don't use it. And if you do, use it for ideas. You can look for answers, but remember, it's just giving you suggestions and ideas because it's not 100% accurate. And if you're concerned about personal information going out there, don't use it. You can put it in a temporary mode where it won't keep an ongoing tabulation of your conversations.
Oh,
but it's also not learning from you when you do that.
Right.
Do you think you believe that?
Well,
no, I mean, I'm serious. Do you, if it says that, okay, you
temporary
can set that
mode.
Yeah.
So
wink, wink.
If you read ChatGPT's description on that, they'll tell you, and I guess the different providers do it differently. They keep everything for at least 30 days for law enforcement reasons. if somebody is doing something illegal and, they're asking a question that they don't think if it's really, really unethical, inappropriate, and there are things that ChatGPT is not going to answer for you either, but if there becomes some sort of a threat or reason, it holds on to all of that for 30 days. And then, and lets it go. So, but, again, privacy's gone out the window. Went out of window a long time ago. It disappeared the day that we decided we weren't going to read a 20-page fine print document.
When we signed up for Facebook.
Right, exactly. Go, okay, save. Yeah.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.